So this liberal will be all about socializing, will be all about basically taking over and the government running all of your companies. You disagree with that? You now denounce that statement.
I am not a socialist.
Okay.
Legitimate response.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. This is Legitimate Response, a channel focused on politics, politicians, what they do, what they say, what they might do, what they might say, what they have done, what they will do, and what they said and shouldn't have said. Now, what we got coming up here is something very, very peculiar. I can't say I've ever seen it before, but it's quite amazing, and it involves Chip Roy, as you probably saw with the intro.
Okay.
We've got a congressman having a hearing questioning a congresswoman. They had a huge debate on the floor of the House where they were debating socialism. Now, why are they debating socialism? Because there's a large number of the Democratic Party that supports socialism. Blow your mind right fast. Why do these people support socialism? It doesn't make any sense to me. Every single instance of socialism you can think of is pretty much ended with lots of death, lots of poverty, and lots of bad stuff going on. There's one or two examples that you can slide in there, but they're not really full-out socialists. I think Sweden is a pretty good example, but they're not considered a socialist. They're still considered capitalists. But they do have a lot of socialist, I guess, aspects to their government and their economy. But full-out socialism never works, hasn't worked yet, not for very long at least. I mean, we can see that with the Soviet Union. They were real bad socialists. There's been a lot of countries. I'm not going to get into all that right here, right now, because that's not what we're here for. We're here to see Chip bitching at Maxine Waters, which is lovely, and I love to see it. So let's roll that clip and see what we got. Let's go.
Now, we can go around and around in circles about trying to talk about and defining socialism, but at its core, I was intrigued by an op-ed that I saw not too long ago by a Democrat from Cuba commenting on one of our colleagues, an avowed socialist, and essentially pointing out the extent to which democratic socialism is a lot like the system my family fled, except its proponents promised to be nicer when seizing your business. And that's the truth. That's the truth here. And so we can talk about these terms as if they don't matter, but they do. They do matter. They're actually at the core of who we are. I've got one question for the ranking member, Ranking Member Waters. In a 2008 hearing, you said, quote, "And guess what this liberal will be all about? This liberal will be all about socializing, would be about basically taking over the government and the government running all of your companies," end quote. Simple question, do you stand by that statement?
Simple answer. I am here today in this Rules Committee because we're taking up time with basically a non-issue. First of all, you claim that socialism has engulfed this country, that it keeps creeping, it's going to take over private businesses, etc., etc. That is not happening.
Well, I'm sorry to say, but that actually is happening and has been happening for a very long time. Now, the government will not outright take over a company and own the company. But if you regulate a company so far into the ground that they can hardly do anything, what is the difference? If you're regulated so much, the government might as well own the company, because you can't do anything without the government saying, no, you can't do that, or yes, you can do that. What's the difference between that and the government actually owning the business? The United States has been putting heavier and heavier regulations on all kinds of businesses for a very long time. That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about the government actually owning, abolishing private business or public business. They're not talking about that. Regulations. You can regulate that so much that you might as well not own it. Let's keep going.
We're in a democracy that we're trying very much to save and to not have disrupted, undermined in the way that...
So then, reclaiming my time, the gentle lady denounces your previous statement then, and do not accept that previous statement that you think you would take over these private businesses?
I'm not a socialist. I'm a capitalist.
So this liberal will be all about socializing, will be all about basically taking over and the government running all of your companies. You disagree with that? You now denounce that statement?
I am not a socialist.
Okay.
All right?
So I appreciate the response. I think that to the extent that one has a concern as a member of this body or as an American watching this, one has concerns when we hear statements like this, and that's not the only one. And statements by some of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle extolling the virtues of socialism, as I just pointed out.
I'll fully stand with Chip on this one. He has every right to be concerned because we've been hearing a whole lot about socialism, about communism. The idea of it sounds good on paper. We're going to create a utopia where everything is equal. Nobody gets rich, but nobody gets poor. And we're all equaled out on level ground and everybody's happy. But that's not how it ever works out. Because you take something away from somebody to give to somebody else. That's theft. Socialism, everybody's on equal ground, but at that point, there's nothing to aspire to. There's nothing to reach for. That's where socialism fails. You can't do that. People will stop giving a damn and won't work anymore because they don't want to, and your economy implodes. Simple as that. All we got to do is look at history and we can see that. Now, I would love a world like Star Trek where nobody has to work. We have replicators to provide food. We have replicators to provide cars. We have transporters. We can go anywhere we want to. We have these starships. We're zooming all over the place. Everybody's happy. It's a utopia. Sure, that would be nice. But unfortunately, we don't have that right now. We're working toward that, and personally, the only way to get there is through capitalism because that's going to push us. It has pushed us. It's pushed us from a cave to the moon. It's really hard to argue against that. You can never say that socialism or communism has spurred economies like capitalism has. Yes, capitalism does create inequalities. Sure. But that just means that people have something to aspire to, which is exactly what I'm doing on this YouTube channel. I'm aspiring to be something better than what I am. I'm trying to make my voice heard by just doing it. I've got myself, my cell phone, a microphone that I bought, thanks capitalism, and I'm doing my thing. I'm not complaining. I don't make a hell of a lot of money, but that's my personal choice. My job is what it is. If I want a better job, I can go get one if I have the qualifications. But if there's no reason to go get a better job because we're making the same thing, who's going to do the crap jobs? Who's going to want to be a plumber if you don't have to work? You have to force people to do those things at that point. And that's not what America is about. America is about freedom, free to do what you want when you want. And that's all I got for this one, y'all. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Turn on your notifications. Hit the like button if you liked it. I mean, who doesn't like a congressman griping at another congresswoman? Especially when it comes to socialism, because socialism, in my personal opinion, is the stupidest thing ever made. It looks great on paper, but anytime you try to put it into practice, it sucks. And I'm still ranting about it. I done ended the video and I'm still going. Why am I still talking? I have no freaking